Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. I want to talk a little bit about Marc Lamont Hill. And Marc Lamont Hill has endured something that I don't wish on anybody. I know Mark for a long time, and I'm not here really to get into, uh, to kick anybody while they're down or to get into what I personally might have an issue with in terms of a person's politics and things like that. Well, in case you don't know, Mark Lamont Hill, who's on the Black News Channel, just put up this interesting post about being in the hospital. And Marcus and I saw he was in the hospital and said, "Well, what's he in the hospital for?" And he tweeted that he's got something. If I'm not mistaken, it was something called a deep vein thrombosis. Deep vein thrombosis related to blood clots that had to do with a surgery he had on his Achilles. And again, you guys know I know Mark doesn't think very highly of me. I don't honestly I don't like him that much either. I'm just keeping honest. But here's the point. I care more about you than I care about any personal issue I might have with Mark. And so Mark comes out and he mentions what's going on with him, and he mentions this deep vein thrombosis thing that's going on, and that he's in the hospital now. Here's the thing: a lot of people, for obvious reasons, I know a lot of y'all instantly thought about whether or not what. I'm not even going to say it because they're now centering any logical discussion about all of this. So I'm not even going to really say those words because I'm not trying to get the Twitter bots any reason to act a fool today. But y'all know what I know what y'all were thinking about. Y'all were looking at that and you said, "Wait a minute, blood clots." Whoa, because there are a lot of people that talk about blood clots and in relation to the what. And so, um, anyway, here was the deal, right? So a lot of people had their speculation. I had my own personal speculation and wondered what was going on. I mean, you're 42 years old. You're not that old. It doesn't make sense that you'd be having heart attacks and blood clots and everything else. It just didn't make any sense to me. And again, I wasn't happy about it. I'm never happy if something bad happens to a person, no matter who they are, right? But a lot of people saw this as confirmation that, hey, maybe we need to take some time on this thing. Maybe we need to not leap too forward too fast over something where 99.8% of us are going to survive anyway. 99.8% of us are going to survive. Damn near every kid in America has survived this. Maybe 1% of 1% of 1% might have been affected, but for the most part, all the children were fine. We know that there's a history of distrust of the government. There's a history of distrust of big pharma, and you're not making these things up. You have reason for this, right? You've seen the Tuskegee experiments. You've seen how big pharma puts profit over people, right? You've seen all these things. So healthy skepticism has kind of been outlawed. They're sort of saying to you, no, if you don't do this, you can't get a job. If you don't get this jab, then you can't do certain things because we somehow think you're inferior to those of us who made that decision. Well, let me just say this. If you go to my Twitter, I'm gonna put my Twitter on here, and I put something up that I think Mark Lamont Hill should take a look at. And again, this is me. I'm being 100% serious when I have this conversation. I'm not here, in the spirit of trying to beef with somebody. I'm not gonna beef with another 40-something-year-old man. But if you go to my Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, and on my Twitter, I put a link to an article that I encourage you just to take a look at. I know people call everything fake news if it's not consistent with mainstream media, but I honestly have seen many examples where mainstream media has also been fake news. And on this news article, first of all, Vicky Diller shared an article from The Hill where they said that the J&J shot was linked to another blood clotting condition. That clots is a consistent conversation. It's a consistent issue that's kind of been popping up. And this article that I'm looking at here talks about the specific condition that Mark Lamont Hill's dealing with called deep vein thrombosis. Look it up, deep vein thrombosis. And there's a link. I put the link up on my Twitter account. My Twitter's right there. Go look it up, read it for yourself. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not anti nothing. I promise you, I'm not anti anything. I'm just pro black. That's it. I'm not anti this, anti that. I'm pro black. And they tell a story about two young healthy doctors who were diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis 27 and 29 days, respectively, after receiving the what. And they mention the name of the company, all that stuff. Both of them had a negative dimmer test and low well score. I don't know exactly what that means, but they said they were. What does it say here? They said the patient was a female doctor in her 30s. Aside from a hyperthyrosis following Hashimoto's thyroiditis in childhood and some lumbago issues, she had been otherwise healthy. She had no history of blood clots, including in connection with pregnancy and childbirth. Let's see, the patient was given, and they mentioned what she received, which particular company gave her particular jab. The next night, she woke up with intense back pain and developed a fever and chills. These symptoms were resolved within 36 hours. 16 days after she got the shot, she developed something called petechia in two fingers. The Norwegian Medicines Agency had advised the public to seek urgent medical assistance if they developed symptoms within 14 days of receiving the shot. But 16 days had now passed, and the woman's general health was good. She did not see a doctor or have any tests. After a few ski trips, however, 3 of her toenails turned blue, and bruises appeared elsewhere on her body despite not experiencing any impact blows. 27 days after the shot, she awoke with pain in her right popliteal fossa and upper leg without prior trauma. She attributed the symptoms to a busy weekend shift at the hospital. The next day, the pain worsened. A routine hyperthyrosis checkup to measure her thyroid hormones was supplemented with further analysis. And they talk about her blood test. They said the next day she still has severe pain. And these are medical terms. Some of this is hard to read. I'm going to be honest with you. And asked a colleague in the Department of Radiology to carry out an ultrasound examination to rule out deep vein thrombosis. Thrombus was then revealed in the distal popliteal vein. She was treated for 3 months. And so the second patient, who was previously a healthy male doctor in his 40s who did not use regular medication, 10 hours after getting he developed a brief fever and chills, but continued to feel unwell the next day. Over the next 3 to 4 days, he experienced joint pain and exhaustion. Light exertion also triggered dyspnea, which lasted for 1 week. 10 days after, he felt a slight proximal discomfort in his lower left leg. He interpreted this to be a muscular issue. The symptoms gradually intensified, and after 16 days, he observed a slight swelling. However, this receded after a few days. 24 hours after the shot, he took blood tests because he was still experiencing discomfort, etc., etc. He did not have a headache. Blood tests showed, they talk about his hemoglobin levels, all that. So the discussion here in this article, and on my Twitter page, you can look it up. I didn't mean to bore you guys with any medical jargon, but I just wanted to try to share some of this with you. And I hope you don't use the V word, too much around here, because they literally are, censoring everything. And I just think that that's ridiculous and horrific and terrible. But they said basically 2 patients without underlying risk factors developed deep vein thrombosis 27 and 29 days respectively after receiving the shot. A clear association has now been established between that shot and what is referred to as vaccine-induced immune thrombotic thrombocytopenia, a condition with thrombosis in unusual sites. Thrombocytopenia. See, I'm trying, y'all. Y'all got to pray for me because I'm trying to say these medical terms. My sister's a doctor. She could probably do this better than y'all could. And I did talk to my sister, the doctor, about this, who has some interesting opinions, but I'm not going to put her on Front Street with that. But she did inform my perspective on a lot of things. And so, long story short, I would just say it would be kind of, I understand Mark wants to fight back with the haters, and Mark has his own ideology politically, a lot of which I was very surprised by. But, look, man, you almost died, dude. And this is not a time for you to be playing politics when it comes to your own life. This is if there's ever a time to be honest and let the bullshit out, let the bullshit go, it would be when you are literally on a bed that is next to your deathbed. Like, he wasn't on his deathbed, but he was on the bed next to his deathbed. And I think in that moment of reflection, you got to find a way to be honest. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm telling you guys right now, just be clear. I'm not anti nothing. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm here to share what I see. And something don't smell right about this. Something, constantly getting it promoted to us. I look at the statistics and I'm sitting there thinking, wait, you mean we got a 99.8% chance of survival? You mean old people are the main ones that are dying anyway? If you take the old people out of the sample, then there's very little. I mean, there's more people killed in the hood every day than the number of people that die from this. So I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm just saying Why are we acting like this is a damn national emergency? This ain't no goddamn national emergency. It's not. A nuclear war is a national emergency. What was that? What was it? What's the swine flu? Ebola is a national emergency, right? This ain't no national emergency, and that's the part that this kind of freaks me out. Is that if a person just says, "Look, I'm not trying to do that. I'm gonna find other ways to have a healthy immune system. I'm gonna use God's protection of a healthy immune system," because studies show that millions of people have caught this thing and millions of people survived just fine. Millions of people caught it and got rid of it, and didn't even know that they had it. So why are we acting like the whole world has to shut down over something that's going to affect a very, 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 very small percentage of people? I don't get it. It makes no sense. Maybe big media, maybe the people in media are that stupid that they don't understand that 700,000 is a giant number on it in its own, but every number has to be put into context. 700,000 is literally not even 1% of the population. It's not even one half of 1% of the population. It's literally about one fifth of one half. Sorry, it's about 1/5 of 1% of the population. And many of those people, if you take the old people out of that 700,000, I bet if you take that 700,000 person sample, you take out everybody over 65, you've probably got less than a third left. Seriously. Come on, man. Come on, you mean that's your number one problem that you have in this country? Your whole country is entirely fucked up. America is a fucked up country. Your infrastructure is falling apart. Your kids ain't being educated. You got homelessness everywhere. You got people dying in the streets. Your government, your debt level's $28 trillion. Your country's about to. You're a couple inches away. You're a Mitch McConnell toast stub away from defaulting on the national debt. and big pharma is making trillions of dollars, like getting the whole country hooked on dope. And you really think that this thing is your number one problem? Maybe that's your problem. Maybe you are your number one problem. Maybe your thinking is your number one problem. Maybe your lack of ability to contextualize and properly prioritize agenda items is your number one problem. Because I'm not saying that this stuff ain't real. Let's be clear. I am not anti nothing. If you did get the shot, great for you. If you didn't, great for you. It's up it's up to you. But why are you acting like this is the number one priority in a country that has about 99 problems and a virus ain't one? Like you got 99 problems and this thing ain't one. So that's all I gotta say, man. And again, I'm not sitting here saying that you should do what I tell you to do. I'm not even going to tell you what to do because I'm not in that business. I'm not in this. I know people like to put people in boxes and categories and, oh, you're anti this and it. No, I'm not. Let's make that 100% clear. I am just pro truth and pro common sense. And apparently common sense has gone out the window because somebody out there is saying, how are we going to make as much money as possible by taking something that affects 1% of 1% or 1/5 of 1% of the country, and we're gonna act like that's the biggest thing in the world. No, there's a lot of problems that affect the other 99.8% of us, and you're not addressing any of those. I got a wife who is a very good therapist, and my wife, who's an extraordinary therapist and a full professor of social work, has her office flooded with teenagers that are having severe mental health problems because you done took them out of school for a whole year and a half over something that they are definitely going to survive. And you know what happened? Our 17-year-old said, Mom, I'm depressed. I'm sad. I want to go to Lollapalooza. It sucks sitting inside the house all day. And we said, you know what? Go to Lollapalooza, have fun, live your life. We're not going to steal that away from you. And guess what happened? He went to Lollapalooza where there was over 1 million people out there. Everybody's freaking out. Oh my God, they're all going to die. What are they doing? He had a ball. He made it home safely, and now he's got a memory that he's going to have for the rest of his life. So let's just keep this clear. I'm going to say this and I'm going to be done. There's life, and then there's death. And then there are people who are only trying to live, just stay alive, but they're not actually living. They're staying alive, but you might as well be dead. You're sitting around waiting to die. You're sitting around hoping and praying that it doesn't come and get you. And they've literally infected the shit out of you. They already, no matter whether you got the jab or not, many of y'all already got another jab, and that jab is called fear. They have infected you with the virus of fear, where you can't simply go out into the world, take a calculated risk, and say, yeah, I might not make it home today, but I'm going to go out and live the best life I can until that day comes. So if you want to know what I'm doing, me and my family, we're gonna go living. And I don't know what that means. I don't know how that's gonna end, but I'm not going out like a sucker and I'm not going out like a coward. So get out of here with that nonsense. It's all silly to me. Now, long story short, I wish Mark the best. I hope he's okay. I knew Mark very well back in the day. We don't hang out as much anymore. I hope he doesn't make this political, but look up deep vein thrombosis, what Mark has. Mark told you everything you needed to know in that first little tweet when he told you exactly what his symptoms were and exactly what happened. I don't care. You can clean it up. You can politicize it. You can do whatever you want. But go look up the research on the connection between deep vein thrombosis and this particular thing that they're trying to get you to put into your body. And you will probably find connections that will disturb you. Dr. Christina Clark, who did that great testimony in the Michigan House of Representatives, who's a PhD in cell and molecular biology, is going to be at the All Black National Convention. I hope you guys will come out there. We will have an honest conversation where free speech is allowed. You don't have to be pro or anti nothing. We just want to hear all the facts so that our people can make our final decision. We have our own medical board, our own Dr. Fauci's, our own people in our own community who can make the best decisions for us. And we don't need a twerp like Dr. Fauci telling us how to live our lives. So allblacknationalconvention.com, that's the URL. I hope to see you guys in Orlando. I'm about to go meet my wife for dinner. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.